One of the metaphors for life is that life is a journey. And if life is a journey, what does that make you and I? It makes us sojourners or travelers or pilgrims. And that's what I want to share with us in this video. I want to welcome you to CITAM Church Online. My name is George Murichu. Always a delight, a pleasure, a great honor to be able to converse with you through this platform. Thank you for watching. In the book of Psalms, which is the prayer book of the children of Israel, one of the Psalms there highlights that journey motif or the metaphor of life as a journey. And this section of the Psalms is actually called the Songs of Ascent. These are songs that the children of Israel used to sing as they were journeying, traveling, sojourning up towards Zion. So there they were from different parts of the nation. There they were from probably up country, and they were going towards the city. They were going to where the temple or the tabernacle was. And they would sing certain songs, songs of ascent. And I want us to consider one of those songs, which is Psalm 121. Well-known psalm, very, very encouraging. And I know that it will minister to you in this season. Psalm 121, I'll just read the first two verses. It says, I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. Such a powerful psalm and such a personal psalm. Notice there that the person who is saying this, he's having an internal dialogue. He's on the journey. He's considering the range of hills on the journey. And it said that Israel is a very hilly country, very, very mountainous terrain. And so as he's heading, marching towards Zion, he has this internal dialogue. He has this conversation, these reflections with himself. And he says, I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? And I've always wondered why he asks that question after surveying the hills. But when I dip myself into the ancient world of the Bible, I've got some perspective. And the perspective is this. Back in those days, the peoples surrounding Israel really held the mountains, the high places in high regard. To an extent of almost worshiping those places or treating those places as the places where the gods would descend. Of course, the nations surrounding the children of Israel, they were polytheistic. They believed in many deities. They believed in many gods. And so this particular psalm is not only personal, but friends, you will observe that it is a polemic. It's a defense of Yahweh, of Israel's God. The pilgrim here is saying that Yahweh is where my help comes from. For the surrounding nations, they think that their help comes from the hills and the mountains. But for this pilgrim who has the right perspective, he realizes that the source of his help, the help that is truly needed on this journey, the help comes from Yahweh. And so the reason verse 1 exists is that it's representing what the peoples around Israel believed. They believed that their help was on those mountains. And friends, if you consider our history as Africans, this is something that is not too far-fetched. This is something that our ancestors also believed in. They believed that the place of encounter with the gods was on the mountains, on the hills, on the high places. And so they would ascend to those hills, and that is where idolatrous things would take place. But here, this pilgrim is giving you and I some instructions, some insights on what we need for this journey. And I submit to us that the first thing we need for this journey is we need proper perspective. We need perspective on where the source of our help is from. As you're watching this video, you may very well be in need. You may be in need of some help. It may be help that I cannot even articulate, or it may be help that falls within different categories. Perhaps it's financial or emotional, spiritual, or whatever it is that you need in terms of help. I'd like this video to be an invitation for you to reflect on where you have been looking for help. Is it possible that, like the nation surrounding the children of Israel, you have been looking for help in all the wrong places? For those nations, help was in the hills. In our day and age, many people are looking for help. Help in resources, help in networks, help in connections. I mean human connections. Help having a godfather somewhere, godfather in quotes. And where all those things, granted, have some merit and have some value, the reality, friends, is that the ultimate source of our help is not from our connections, it's not from our networks, it's not from our giftedness, it's not from ourselves, it's not intrinsic in ourselves. It's not outside of ourselves in terms of, oh, that person will help me, and that account will help me, that connection will help me. Ultimately, our help comes from the Lord, from Yahweh, the maker of the heavens and the earth. And so I'd like you to consider reflecting on where you've been looking for help. Have you been looking for help in all the wrong places? Have you been looking for help in people? Elsewhere in this very same prayer book of the children of Israel, the Psalms, Psalm chapter 20 verse 7, the psalmist declares, some may trust in chariots, some may trust in horses, but we will trust in the name of the Lord our God. Perspective, friends. I submit to us that the first thing we need for this journey called life is that we need a proper perspective on where our help comes from. And as you're watching this, I pray that you'll take some time to reflect, to ponder, to have this kind of internal discourse with yourself, and think about where you're at in this journey called life. Think about where you're at. Think about the journey thus far, that you're one day closer to eternity. You're one moment closer to being very much in the presence of the Lord our God. And this reflection should lead us to a place of evaluating where we've been getting our help. And we'll consider that in our next video. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your comments and basically engage with us, because this is meant to be conversational. And please go ahead and send in those comments and questions. May God richly help you and bless you. Amen.